Hi Year 5, welcome back to your ones of test lessons. Today we're going to be having a look at non-verbal reasoning. So non-verbal reasoning is all about codes and patterns and finding the next one in a set of something. Often non-verbal reasoning can be a little bit challenging at the beginning when you start to learn how to do this, so I don't want you to worry about how long it's taken you to solve these, because actually this is just getting used to the methods and the techniques and strategies that you can use to solve these. So we're going to have a look at this one together. You need to be able to see the patterns here, so if you can't, just zoom in a little bit so you can see them, and at any point just pause, have another look, listen to it again. So I'm going to read all this for you here. So it says, on the left in the example below, there are 5 squares arranged in order. One of these squares has been left empty. It's this one here. One of the 5 squares on the right should take the place of the empty square, and the letter has been marked on your answer sheet. So we haven't got the answer just yet. I've taken that away for you. So we're going to look at this example carefully. Now, often one way to find the pattern is that it goes up in size. With this one, we can see that what's happening is we've got 1 dot in the middle, then we've got 1 circle, 2 circles, 1, 2, 3 circles. So then I look at my options here, and I've got these two, B and C, that have got the potential to be the answer because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 circles in each one. However, the correct answer is going to be B. You might have realised why, because B has got the point in the middle. So B is going to be our answer. So that's one way that you can find the missing picture, and that is it might go up in size. So size is one thing that you can always have a look for. Okay? Let's have a quick look. As you move through the series, the dot acquires an extra ring around it, increasing the overall size of the circle each time. The central dot is present in each cell, which is why it's not C. Let's move on. Okay. So we're going to look at number 8 together. So I think probably the best thing to do is we'll look at number 8. I'm going to just explain a few things about it. Then you can pause, have a little work out yourself, and which one do you think it could be? And then we can go through the answer. Okay, so with 8, what we do is we look at the shapes that we've been given, and again we're looking for the missing one here, and it's one of these here, okay? So with 8, the first thing that I notice is the shapes are not the same. We've got a hexagon, pentagon, hexagon, pentagon. So that's the first pattern that I've got. So I'm actually going to write that below so you can see hexagon, pentagon, hexagon, pentagon. So with that pattern, it would make sense that obviously the next one's going to be a hexagon. So straight away, that basically means that I can look over here and think, right, okay, it's going to be a hexagon. Now, the problem I'm going to have now is actually where my little, call this an oval, is going to be, and where my lined triangle is going to be. Now, I've noticed with the 2 pentagons that they are exactly the same, okay? The pattern does not change, but what I notice with these hexagons, hexagon in box 1 and hexagon in box 3, is that the striped triangle at the top has turned. It's turned, did this say for you? 90 degrees, okay? That's what I've noticed. Then I'm looking at my oval on this kind of vertex here, and it's changed here, it's gone to here. So using that information, particularly thinking about the triangle starting at the top and then changing 90 degrees, I want you to just pause the video and have a go at thinking about what answer it could be out of all of these. So I'm going to step away. Okay, hopefully you've had a little look and thought, right, my lined triangle was at the top. Then it moved round to the side here, so it's facing this way. So it would make sense that would move another 90 degrees. Okay, now I can see that I've got this option here, this circle, the triangles at the bottom, this option here, the triangles at the bottom, and this option here, the triangles at the bottom. Now that means I need to look a little bit closer at this here. It's this and it's this and how it's moving. Okay, so we've got, I've actually chopped out this picture here. I'll put it here so you can see. So what I've got is I've got my triangle. This is exactly the same here. I'm just going to move around so I can move this around here. Don't follow me, just keep having a look. Now if we're following the same pattern of this moving 90 degrees round, if I move that round like that, we can see where the triangle ends up and we can see where the oval ends up. Now out of all of these, that matches with this one here, so the answer is going to be D. Now, then we found another way that possibly the patterns might work. So we've got size with the first one with the circles, and then we're also looking at rotations and the shape rotating. But another layer to add into that is that sometimes you're going to have a pattern right at the beginning that you need to work out. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to look at number 9. So with number 9, we've got this arrow shape with this circle on the top, and also if you look closely you can see we've got lines on some of our arrows as well in different positions. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can narrow down what the possible next figure might be here from these ones here. So you might have noticed something about the position of the arrows already. So what I have noticed is the arrow, and I'm going to use my arm to show this, okay? The arrow is pointing down like so, then it moves here, here, here. So it would make sense that the answer, the arrow is going to be pointing straight up. So then I can have a look and, they've given me one that is pointing down, so already I can cross that out, okay? So that helps me a little bit. Now next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the line that is going across the arrow in some cases. Now with the line, again I've noticed a pattern. The line is at the top, at the bottom, no line. At the top, hopefully you're now thinking, at the bottom. So we've got a pattern going on there. Top, bottom, no line. Top, bottom. So now I'm thinking, okay, so if the line is going to be at the bottom, that means it's a bit confusing because when I say bottom, I mean it's near the arrowhead, but we're pointing up, so it's actually at the top. But that means it can't be that one because that's got no line at all. It can't be that one. It's going to have to be these two here. Now these look very similar, don't they? The only thing that's different about them is where the half black semicircle is. Okay, so now we look at that part. Okay, we've only got 2 options. So with this, and it took me a while to get to grips with this myself, so do not worry if it's a bit confusing at first. What I have noticed is that the side of the black semicircle, it changes each time. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to look at this as if I'm looking at it from kind of facing this way. So when I look at the board, the black side's on the right-hand side, but actually I'm going to be looking at it this way. So the black side is on the left-hand side. So I'm going to write that on to help you. Then that moves over, so the black side's on the right-hand side. Then I go back in, it's on the left-hand side. Now that black is on the right-hand side, and now that means that's going to have to be on the left-hand side. So now if I look at my options, this one here, the black is on the right-hand side, it can't be that one. So therefore I'm going to use this one as my answer. And we can see the answer is C. Okay, so now you've got other things to add into it. So you can see sometimes in these questions, it's layer upon layer upon layer. It's not always just one thing you're looking at. You might be looking at 3 different things. In this case, we looked at the position of the arrow, the direction of it, where the line was, and where the black and white sides were going to be as well. Okay? Right, so this one we're going to have a little look at as well, number 10. So with number 10, what we've got here is, we've got this kind of Y shape, I would call it. So we've got Y, and this one's a little bit different because I've only got a blank second space. Y, upside down, Y. So you might have already thought, well, you can see a pattern straight away. Y, upside down, Y. So straight away I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be some kind of upside down Y. So I'm thinking, It's going to leave that to complete the pattern. So that means that I'm already going to be able to get rid of a few options here. So I can get rid of that one, a normal Y. I can get rid of that one, a normal Y. And I can get rid of that one, normal Y. Okay, so that makes my life a little bit easier straight away, doesn't it? So I'm going to ask you now just to pause the video, okay, and I want you to have a little look at the other elements on the Y's. I want you to look at the ends, okay, what you can see, and see if there's anything you notice. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this so it doesn't confuse you. So, what do we notice? Okay, we're going to have an upside down Y. Now here I have got on every single normal Y, I've got a black circle, black circle, black circle, white square, white square, white square. So actually what I'm thinking straight away is, okay, well it's very likely that whatever I've got here is going to be repeated here as well. So it's very likely that I'm going to have an upside down Y with a black square and a white circle. And here I have got a Y with a black square and a white circle. Here I've got a white square and a black circle, so it can't be that one. Which means my answer is going to be D. Now, that's an interesting one because actually you can see, and it's a little bit difficult to see on the whiteboard, I do appreciate that. When you get your questions, you'll be able to see a little bit more easily. We've actually also got these lines going on down here. So sometimes they throw some elements in that actually you don't even need to really look at. The more you practice these, the easier you're going to find them. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to look at two more together. Okay. This one up here, number 11. So again, I'm just going to ask you to pause the video and just see yourself if you can notice anything about the shapes, the position of the shapes, okay, for the first one. Okay, so hopefully you've had a little look at the shapes and you might have noticed in every single square, I've got the same three shapes. I've got a triangle, I've got a white circle and a black circle, okay? And then you might have noticed something about the position of the shapes and you might have started to notice a pattern. So we're going to first of all focus on the triangle, okay? So with the triangle, I've noticed that it moves in a pattern and I'll show you. It goes from here, to here, to here, to here. So what I can see is I'm repeating that pattern. It goes from what I would call bottom, middle, top. Bottom, hopefully you're saying middle. Middle makes sense. So now I'm looking here and I'm thinking, okay, which ones have got the triangle in the middle? Well, this one does, this one does, this one does, this one does, this one doesn't, so that makes life easier for me. Get rid of that one. Okay, so now, let's have a look at the white circle, okay? So with the white circle, let's look at the pattern that we've got. So we've got middle, top, bottom, middle. Okay, so again we've got a little bit of a pattern. Now the pattern is the same pattern, so I have to be careful because after the middle, it goes to the top right hand corner. So I'm going to be wanting my pattern to do the same thing, okay? Middle, top, bottom, middle, top. So now I'm looking for the ones that have got a white circle in the top right hand corner. This one does, this one does, this one does, this one doesn't. So I've narrowed down my options even further. So now I'm going to be looking at the last shape that I've got, which is the black circle. So the black circle, I've got bottom, middle, top, middle. So that one is a little bit more of a different pattern than maybe we've noticed. So what I want you to do is think about, okay, if I'm looking at my pattern of what comes before to help me, so it goes bottom, middle, top, middle. Now you'd think it'd go bottom, middle, top, bottom, middle, top. It doesn't for this one, okay, which is why I can throw you off a little bit. Okay, for this one it goes bottom, middle, top, middle. Then we go back to the bottom here. So we're repeating, okay? So look at the pattern like this. Middle, top, middle, bottom. And the bottom is there. Okay, it's the same one, it's going in the same place. So I'm looking again, I'm thinking, okay, that is in the wrong corner, can't be that one. This one is in the top left-hand corner, it can't be that one. This one, we've got the pattern repeated. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. So for this one, the answer is going to be E. Okay? Last one. Breathe a sigh of relief. It's new, don't panic. Okay? Now, with this last one, what we have to do is we're going to look at the shapes. And again, like I've said the whole time, we're going to keep looking at the pattern of the shapes basically. So we've got T, I don't know, looks like a kind of weird rocket. T, rocket, T, rocket, going to be a T. Okay? So straight away, I'm going to get rid of my rockets they've given me. Don't want those. And then also, what I've noticed about these shapes is that they're the same way around each time. So it's a normal T shape, normal T shape, normal T shape. There's no reason for it to be upside down at all. So I'm going to get rid of my upside down T as well. Don't need that there. So now I'm only left with two options, and I've moved through that quite quickly because we're starting to get the hang of it. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for any patterns I see with the black, because that's the only other thing that's different with all of these shapes. So I'm looking kind of what stands out. So now what I do is I think, okay, so the black's in the middle, top, bottom. Okay, middle, top, bottom, middle again. So take a moment. Think of that pattern. Middle, top, bottom. Middle, what's going to come next? Pause it, have a look. Hopefully you thought, oh, Miss Goodrich, that makes perfect sense. Middle, top, bottom. Middle, top. It's going to have to be the top, which means it's going to have to be this one here, okay, with this black shape filled in at the top. We're not moving down to the bottom. That would maybe be the one after next. So for that one, we can cross out this one, and we know that our answer is going to be D. Now we're going to stop there for today, because these are going to be quite difficult to get your head round, and Miss Mackenzie and Mr. Seekins will be sending some of these home for you to have a little look at. If you want the answers, just ask Miss Mackenzie and Mr. Seekins to send you the answers, because sometimes with these, if you're really, really stuck, it's a good idea to have the answer in front of you actually, because then you can kind of work backwards and work out how did they get to the answer, how was that answer figured out basically. But remember, my top tips for these ones is to look for patterns that you can see, okay? You can write on the sheets if you need to. Look for what's changing in terms of size. Is anything changing in terms of rotation? Is anything changing in terms of position? Is anything changing in terms of colour? Like these ones here, okay? I hope you're okay with that. Next week we're going to go back to some verbal reasoning. If you've got any questions or anything you need to know, you can just ask me as well, just email me. Okay, take care, bye-bye.